Remote viewing without a net, now the feedback. Hi there, crypto fans. Hi there, remote viewing fans. Dick Allgire here. Beautiful day at Ethereum Place. In our last segment, I published a blind remote viewing session, me working at the whiteboard, and we published it without knowing what the target queue was. Well, we just found out. Now we know what it was I remote viewed. You're going to want to go back and watch the full thing, but I've got some highlights for you right now. I worked this as part of our great team at ffgrv.com. We have talented professional remote viewers. 4 of us worked this target. Here's the moment where we got the feedback, where we learned what the target was.
I'm going to not share my screen yet, so everybody's faces are more in full as we talk about this target, and then I'll go in and do the full reveal on this one. But I'm just going to say it. This week, you guys were looking at the death of the euro.
Yeah, no wonder I had
the euro.
Death of the euro, which could be very well linked to the death of the dollar. We had a lot of U.S. stuff in there, so I'll get into that in the analysis.
So it was the death of the euro. Our job was to describe the events that lead up to Europe no longer using paper money, transferring over to a digital central bank digital currency. Whew, that's a heavy target. And our team did very well on it. I put out my full session, but I'm part of a larger team, and all the viewers did an amazing job. Let's look at an excerpt. Let's look at a little bit of Daz Smith's work on this target.
And I even had the word an extinction to this as well. And this has a very significant feel to it, a vague, predetermined feel to this. This has a very strong impression that this is almost like predetermined and we're just waiting for it to happen. And that's what I wrote here, and I double-lined it because it felt important. It's going to happen.
Naeem Vandreas had data about the pressures to get this conversion done.
There's a financial institution. They're culpable or responsible. So the pressure is on here. There's a difficult situation, turmoil, very under pressure. Like it feels like they're being squeezed from like every direction. Like there's all these outside influences all pushing on this institution.
And then Edward Reardon, his work was almost identical to mine. My session was pretty good. Edward's was absolutely amazing. Let's listen to Edward describing the conversion to the digital euro.
There's an overwhelming sense of complexity to this target, like multiple agencies in a web. And this was kind of the idea here, like this Federal Reserve here, and the government over here, and the IRS over here, international is over here, and it's just this really complex web, very, very complicated. It was very complicated. It was difficult to do that. I enjoyed the session, but it was very difficult to do. The idea is that this tasking relates to all of these, or the main connecting ingredient, the US dollar. But how does that relate to the tasking, though, I'm wondering? The movement of this system, or how it moves, how it all connects like a web. Each part holds the entire puzzle together. That was a very interesting concept. Like you pull one out, a whole house of cards could come down. Then I had to wonder, even along those lines, is one of these parts in jeopardy? I wondered. Per the tasking, there's a timeline for one or all of these departments to change or change over or upgrade. But how, I had to wonder. This brings in the digital rails aspect, the reduction of redundancy with the use of AI to minimize redundancy. It seems like a big cutting aspect, removing unneeded bureaucracy and waste. There was my dollar sign here, and I had plenty of those. This tasking is complex. Part of this relates to reduction from within and the big switchover. A lot of middlemen removed, and an attempt at stability, like the use of stablecoins. Stability, stablecoins. This is very complex. Stablecoin usage and debt are a part of this, and the revaluation of gold. But how, I wonder? A global exchange rate notion, the notion of a global exchange rate, and debt-backed stablecoins, it was just very complex to me, all of these things. Here's more dollars, and they're just kind of moving around, fleeting, going all over the place. Same here, this very interesting kind of money matrix thing. And it had that digital crossover feel, like the crossover element and the transfer of wealth.
And an interesting moment that illustrates the metaphoric nature of remote viewing data. In the tasking document, they used a map of European debt, and here's what that looked like. So when I was remote viewing this target, I saw that. I'm standing there at the whiteboard, and I got this fleeting image, and I knew it was important to the target. And I didn't know if it was a puzzle or a map, and here's the moment where I figured it out. And you would fit them together. Now this, I don't know if that's countries. If it was countries, it would be Europe. If it was countries, it would be Europe. If this was a map, it would be Europe. That's basically calling target. That's my subconscious bubbling up while I was live on camera. Here is another excerpt of my work where I'm talking about the transition from paper euros to the new digital currency. This system is very sterile. It's very, functions beautifully, and it avoids the chaos of all this. Like, this would be the chaos, and this would be the order. And once the chaos really gets chaotic, it needs to separate, and this becomes the orderly system where all the puzzle pieces will fit perfectly to rehypothecate something. You'll want to see the full debrief on this. You will see all the work of all the viewers, unedited, all their data. We have analysis from the great Marty Hibbs, our technical analyst, who's talking about what this all means. It publishes Friday at ffgrv.com, ffgrv.com. We use remote viewing. We use this skill as an intelligence gathering tool. We have important, influential people around the world that look at our work, and they do that to see what's coming over the horizon. ffgrv.com, ffgrv.com. It publishes Friday. Go back and look at my full session, Done Blind, The Death of the Euro.